East Region 15 versus a 2. Robert Morris and Alabama. Crimson Tide. Standout Grant Nelson dealing with a knee injury, not in the starting lineup, but would be available off the bench. That would be key late in the game. Mid-first half, Bama up by 5. Chris Youngblood, no. DJ Smith grabbing the board to a Marion Dickerson. Cleveland native showing out in his hometown. Minute later, LeBaron Fillon lobbing it up to Clifford Amori for the alley-oop slam. Amori scored 15 of his 17 in the first half and was perfect 8 of 8 from the field. 20 ticks left to go in a 6-point game. Cam Woods kicking it out to Dickerson from the corner. 15 seed down just 4 at the half as Dickerson 13 first half points on 6 of 12 shooting. Let's get to the second half with Bobby Moe down 8. Off the miss. Look at that. Dickerson there to clean things up. So here come the Colonials. Next RMU possession. Dickerson drives. Gets the tough reverse layup to fall, putting the team on his back as they're down 4. They would still be down 4 a few minutes later. Woods heaving it to Dickerson. Fantastic control and finish. Colonials down 2. I see you. Dickerson taking over. Just under 8 minutes left to go. 4-point game. Woods. Dickerson. Do I sound like a broken record? And one, count it. Dickerson going off, ensuing Crimson Tide possession. Mark Sears going through, but rejected by Dickerson. Game high 25 points, 9 rebounds. One of those 2 blocks we just showed you right there, and 3 steals in this game. It's a 1-point game, just over 7 minutes left to go. Josh Amojafo driving in and giving the Colonials their first lead of the game. The Crimson Tide would respond. Less than a minute later, Aiden Holloway. There's Grant Nelson. Bama back up by 1. First bucket of the game for him. Bama now up 6. Sears, left-handed finish. He'd make the free throw to make it a 9-point game as he scored 19 of his 22 in the second half. And just over 2 minutes left to go. Bama trying to put this one to bed. There's Nelson, baseline, two-handed flush. Crimson Tide finished the game on a 26-16 run, and they go on to win this one 90-81. Alabama wins an NCAA tournament game in 3 straight years for the first time since the early 90s. And they get it done, although getting a second-half scare from the 15 seed. Mark Sears leading the way with 22 points, 5 rebounds, and 10 assists. A tremendous effort from Sears, but it was all about getting Nelson in the game. And afterward, Nate Oates asked about it.
Can you tell us exactly what point in the game Nelson told you to put him in?
About 2 seconds before he went in. He stood up down there, said, hey, Coach, come on, put me in, I'm ready. I'm like, go. It wasn't going well, and I could see just by that look on his face, like, you put me in, like, I'm going to make some stuff happen. So I trust him. Been through a lot of games with him. He's won a lot of games here.
Grant Nelson, break glass in case of an emergency. Needed today, and for Nate Oates, the Blazer game looking pretty good. 9 tournament wins by an Alabama head coach, just 3 behind Wimp Sanderson in that category. I'm Tommy Tran with John Henson breaking down this game in the East Region here, and Bobby Moe made it close. They made it exciting, but in the end, Nate Oates and company got it done. How'd they get it done?
They had to break in case of emergency Grant Nelson to get out there. I think he played 7 minutes, but his impact just went beyond the box score. He kind of shored up Alabama's defense, shored up on the boards. Robert Morris had 16 offensive rebounds, 11 more than Alabama, 50 points in the paint. So you can't understand how important Grant Nelson, their best rebounder and interior presence, was to that team. You almost kind of look at it like, maybe Alabama should have put a little more respect on Robert Morris's name, because they might have felt slighted, like, oh, you're going to sit him out thinking you're just going to beat us? It didn't happen like that.
Yeah, Nelson, by the way, had been dealing with the knee issue. You mentioned the rebounds here, 7.5 per game. He also averages close to 12 points per game. And Nate Oates said, hey, we're going to go through pregame warm-ups. He's cleared to play. They were hoping to not need him, and they needed him in the end. But that's just kind of how Alabama plays. They're going to keep going run and gun, and RMU kept up with them until the very end.
They did. And if you want to run with Alabama, you're probably going to eventually lose that battle. But for as much as Robert Morris did, credit to Alabama for finishing the game. They still scored 90 points. We gave up 81, but, you know, we don't know Alabama as a defensive juggernaut. So the fact that they still win this game, I wouldn't say fairly easily, but, you know, there was a time where we felt like Robert Morris was going to run away with this game. Shows how good they are and can be. And now moving on to the next round, we'll see kind of where they land and who they play.
Yeah, St. Mary's Vandy, right?
Yeah,
It's going to be the winner. That'll be a change of styles no matter who ends up winning that game.
St. Mary's could be interesting because they have a lot of size and they slow the game down, less possessions, which could be Alabama's kryptonite if there was one.
Alabama's 19th game with 90 or more so far this season. VMI, by the way, had 22 back in the 08/09 season here. Sit tight, John. We want to hear from head coach Nate Oates after the game.
Did you get separation there in those last 5 or 6 minutes?
We finally got some stops and got some defensive rebounds. I mean, they did a great job on the offensive boards. We didn't rebound it well enough most of the game, but you know, we got some defensive rebounds, got some buckets in transition, opened it up a little bit. But I mean, they're a good team. You got to give them a lot of credit. Dickerson was all over the glass. We didn't do a very good job on him. So I think Sears didn't want it to be his last game. You could kind of see his sense of urgency went way up. The second half, got himself to the rim, got some and ones, got to the free throw line, converted. That helped too.
What was the breaking point in the second half where you said to yourself, we have to get Grant Nelson into this basketball game?
I mean, when he told me he was ready, I think he sensed it. You know, we can't afford to lose this. He stood up, put me in. We were trying to get out of that game without playing him, but it does us no good if he doesn't play and we go home.
Thanks, Nate. See you Sunday.
All right, thanks. Appreciate it.
Nate with our John Rothstein. Translate that for me. He said a little bit there.
That was hey, I don't know. I think Nate Oates might look down at Grant like, how you feeling, buddy? Like, I don't know if that might have been a mutual decision. But credit to Grant Nelson for jumping out of the phone booth like Superman and getting suited up and going out there and helping his team win. There is no tomorrow. So he did make a good point. Look, if he doesn't play and we lose, what's the point of sitting him out?
And, of course, with Nate Oates, we know those colorful Blazers are a part of the package here, and you see the tournament wins. Something that stood out to me, something that we touched upon, this is the way they play. They play up and down, and they get those key defensive runs just enough to get by. That's going to be the recipe because they're not going to play in the 60s most of the time.
They're not. You know, Coach Oates said it. Hey, look, we finally got some stops down the stretch, and we were able to pull away. We talked about it upstairs when it was a 2-point game, 3-point game. We said, you know, Alabama could end up winning this game by 10+ points. That's how good they are. And they did finish winning by 9. So they can put these runs together where the game was close and all of a sudden they stretch it out and it's lights out.
One more thing that Nate Oates said, Mark Sears didn't want it to be his last game. He has played well in 6 tournament games the past 2 seasons, scoring at least 18 points for the Crimson Tide. Again, 22 today, 10 helpers, 5 boards. First Alabama player with that type of stat line ever in an NCAA tournament game.